My dad's funny. You remember last time at San Diego, the traffic cop lady was like screaming at me and telling me she was gonna try to get me disqualified and stuff, and I told her to go for it. She was being a mega idiot. My dad sent me this and said, the traffic cops will be on alert this weekend. Cool kids follow the rules. And he like quoted Leslie Knope as saying that. That's honestly.
I was awake before you were.
There's no way.
Time to get up.
I'm gonna say like 6:57 because I was up like a few minutes before my alarm. I won't say I'm up. I'm sorry, I was awake. I wasn't up yet. I didn't get up till 7:05.
Okay, you beat me on getting up, but I was awake before that. So I remember sitting there and I grabbed my phone and the things count down. It's like 5, 4, to the alarm.
Mm-hmm.
So I slid it over real quick trying to beat it.
Mm-hmm.
I beat it. But I was up early.
You do that a lot.
Yeah.
Not appropriate, but okay.
It's the truth.
Okay.
It was good, man. That was an awesome feeling for me, and just like we talked before, it was surreal in a way because it's just something you've never done before. But I've dreamed about that whenever I sleep. I've sat and laid there with my eyes closed, and kind of had that vision running through my head for so long. So whenever it finally happened, it was honestly almost just a sigh of relief because I was like, oh, thank God, I finally have done something that I've wanted to do for so long, and I felt like I genuinely could do. And that was the biggest thing, was actually knowing I could do it and going out and doing it. So for me, for like the team, Robbie, I've never seen Robbie show any kind of emotion ever. He's just not like that, and after that race he had a grin just as big as mine. He's been there since I was 12, and through all the ups, through all the downs, through everything. So for him to see that big smile he had on his face, and to be able to go up to Ashley, which is his fiance, and give her a big hug, and just see their genuine happiness for me was awesome. That's something that I wish I could go back and relive over and over and over to get that feeling of doing that and that sense of accomplishment, because I feel like I've worked so hard to do that. But for me, man, it was a really big deal. It was a big deal for me, and I just want to do that again. I feel like the ceiling is far from being reached, so I want to come into this weekend and Dallas before we have the break, and try to do that again. That's by far my ultimate goal, is to get back on that podium and prove to everybody I can do it again, and not only do good, but I want to win one of these things. I feel like I can do that, and just got to start a little better, and after I do that, we'll be all good.
First race?
Yes, I do actually. There was this little place called Ascot Park, and it might actually be in Oklahoma, but it's right on the Arkansas border. And I went there like 4 or 5 times, and I always used to go there and I'd build these little toy motorcycle tracks, and I'd play with my toy motorcycles, and we'd get there, and I'd be like, yeah, I want to go race, and we'd get there and I'd be playing with my little toy dirt bikes, and my dad's like, you want to race? And I was like, nah, I don't really want to race. I kind of just want to play with my little toy dirt bikes. I did that probably like 4 times, and then one time, he's like, you want to race? And I was like, no, and he was like, we're racing this time. He was like, I brought you here like 4 times, we're gonna race this time. So he signed me up, took me to the line. I just remember crying, and because I just did not want to do it. I was so scared, and I think I cried the whole first lap. I let everyone go to the first turn, and I was like bawling my little eyes out. Then after the first lap, quit crying. I just like kind of rode, and I was like, man, that was really fun. I want to do that again. So that was pretty much all she wrote after that. But I do remember that, and I was terrified of goggles for some reason. I don't know why. I didn't wear goggles for like the first year I raced. I don't know. They just scared me. I don't know. Something about being on my face. I don't know. But yeah, the first race definitely didn't go as planned. I cried the whole time, but that's all right. You know, I wasn't one of the kids that was showing up to the races in, you know, the big $300,000 motorhome with the trailer and all this stuff. And I wanted that. I was like, man, that looks really cool. They got it going on, you know. But my daddy's been working the same job for, you know, 25 years. He's been working at a place called V&M Star, and makes a very average living. I mean, he makes a good living from where we're from. Muskogee, Oklahoma is not a place that people go to because you have a lot of money. You know, it's just not what happens. But you know, my mom was an X-ray tech, which was kind of cool. You know, I'd show up from a race weekend. I'm like, Mom, I crashed. Can you look at my collarbone? She's like, yeah, you broke your collarbone. I was like, damn. So I mean, that was kind of my childhood. I remember as far as her working there and doing that. But it was a lot of sacrifice by both of my parents. You know, I think that comes with any dirt bike racer. The sport's very expensive. It's hard to do. You know, any normal parent, you know, is like, I'll buy a kid a basketball goal and a basketball and, you know, try to get, you know, a scholarship to go to college. And instead, you know, the trend is take your kid out of school and, you know, we'll sacrifice everything we have and try to make it in the dirt bike industry. And, you know, my dad really wanted me to go through school. My mom and my dad didn't want me to be, you know, some kid that was some idiot out here trying to dirt bike race. And so I made it all the way through school and did all that. But no, it was tough. I mean, we refinance the house or sell some stuff if we have to. I mean, whatever we got to do to go race. That was my dad's mentality. He wanted me to be at the races. My mom and my dad, you know, they sacrificed a lot for me to do what I'm doing now, even now. But I mean, it was tough, but we made it work, you know, just like anything else, so. But once we got older, things got more serious. My sister was like, well, I don't want to miss my basketball game to go to the race. So she would stay back, play basketball, and that's whenever things start to get split. You know, my mom would stay with her. Me and my dad would go race on the weekends, go to Texas, race the Pro Circuit Series. And so that's where it got a little more difficult, like the older we got, and that's where, you know, Mom and Dad kind of had to split up a little bit on the weekends to, you know, keep both kids' dreams alive, you know. But that kind of sucked, you know, because I just wanted my parents to both be at the race. You know, my sister too. I was like, I want everyone to be here, you know, and can't. Chloe's playing basketball, and my mom's got to go with her. She's not old enough to go by herself. So that part kind of sucked, you know, and I didn't like it for a while because I was like, man, I want everyone to be here, and they just weren't. I actually had one more year of 65s left when I got signed with them. And I went from a KTM to a Kawasaki, and back then, you know, the Kawasaki 65 was a little outdated. And I was like, man, I don't want to really race this thing. So I just rode the 85 instead. And I rode with those guys for, yeah, it must have been 06, because 06, 07, 08, and then 09 was my last year. I was transitioning period. Super minis to big bikes, and you know, I'm still kind of small trying to figure it out, but too big for super mini, of course. And I got hurt a lot in 2009 for sure. I mean, I just injury after injury after injury. And 2010 I actually got dropped by Team Green, so we were like, I'm just gonna do my own thing, you know. And we were kind of just trying to scrap everything we had from the years before. And I actually drove out here. I bought a bike off of Blake Baggett because I was like, I want a fast race bike, you know. And my dad did everything he could to try to make that happen. And Blake, he actually cut us a really good deal on one of the 250Fs he had from the year before. So I used that to race the 2010 season, and actually did really well that year. I did really well. I surprised a lot of people, I think. And Team Green picked me back up for 2011, and then rode there 2011, 2012, and then, yeah, then after that, tried to go pro in 13.
Start with a non-dominant hand.
Okay.
Hit continue. It's going to give you a practice test, so hit continue.
Okay.
Continue one more time. And so you're tapping that as quickly as you can. And if you're late, then you're going to get that red.
Okay.
And then when you get it quick, you get the green. All right, so now you have this here.
It's not dominant?
Yep. Okay, before you hit anything now, it's going to test you on that one, but it won't give you a practice test in the next one where you want to hit as many as you can. So just be aware you're going to do your non-dominant hand, your dominant hand, and then it's going to go right into that next test of non-dominant as many as you can, and then dominant as many as you can. Okay?
Okay, cool. So continue or quit?
Yep, continue. And then hit continue again.
Never had my dad tell me, like, go to the gym, go do bike ride, do this moto. Like, he's like, here's your tools. You know, if you want this, go for it. I'll support you 100%. But as soon as I see you not giving it any effort, it's done. Like, I'm pulling the cord because this is too much money, and you know, I got too much invested in this for you to just screw around and not give it everything you got. So, but that was one thing that I think was awesome for me, was having my dad, you know, say, if this is something you want, you do it. I'm not gonna tell you to do anything. You know, this is something that if you want to be a champion one day, you're gonna have to figure it out on your own. Like, I don't know what to do. I've never done it, but I will give you everything I've got for you to become a champion. But at the end of the day, this is on you. Like, and I think that's where, like, a lot of kids these days, like, even fast amateurs growing up, they're like, there's a bunch of kids that I grew up racing that would just smoke me every weekend, and I don't even know where they're at now. And I think it was just because their dad, I mean, I don't know for sure, but I feel like the parents and people around them are just on them, hounding them, do motos, you know, go to the gym, and just burning them out and running them into the ground, that they only do it because the parents want them to do it. And I think that's where I was extremely blessed, and I had those supportive parents, but I didn't have the parents that were like on me every single minute of every day, like, do your work kind of thing. One thing that me and my dad have always said is, we're never gonna make it. We're never gonna be to where we want to be until we got championships all on these walls. You know, like, this is something that you can't just settle at. As soon as you settle, everyone's gonna pass you, and there is no settling. Looking back, I hated it. There was so much pressure on 1 week out of the whole year. If you sucked that week, people just wrote you off. And that was just horrible. Like 2012, I sucked. I straight up was just horrible. I mean, I was fast, but I couldn't put a moto together to save my life. And after that, it was like, I was ready to turn pro, honestly, because we got, you know, 9 supercrosses and 12 outdoors, and that's like week after week. You have a bad week, it's like brush it off because you got another race next weekend, and you get to redeem yourself. Where Loretta's, it was like, you suck, you got to wait a whole another year before you can prove yourself again, and people just write you off, and there goes your support pretty much because you sucked. I mean, why should they sign you? You got 36th overall. Like, I mean, really, like, why should I help you guys out? And it was tough, but I was ready for the pros, and that's when I started realizing, like, okay, it doesn't mean anything. Like, we're starting over. We can do this still, and like I said, I've never had a doubt in my mind that this isn't what I was gonna do. Like, this is what I was gonna do. I was gonna be a professional motocross racer if it killed me. Like, I'll do whatever it takes. I don't know what it takes, but you tell me what to do and I'll do it, because this is what I want to do. I don't think I was doing everything right off the bike. I was skipping out on a lot of gym stuff and, you know, coming up with excuses really. I was, oh, I'm too tired to go to the gym today, so I'd skip, or oh, I'm too tired to do my motos today, so I'd just screw around on my bike and stuff like that, where I think I just skipped out on a lot of stuff, and there's no two ways about it. It shows in your riding. Like, I had no one to hold me accountable to it. And I think I got lazy, really. It's not that I wasn't putting the work in. I was putting the work in, I just wasn't doing everything I could and everything I should, honestly. I mean, obviously my speed was good, so I was doing something right. I was riding a lot. I was riding Monday through Friday because with Texas, you never know when the storm's gonna come through and you're not gonna be able to ride for a couple weeks. So it was like I tried riding as much as I could, so when that storm did come, I wasn't stressing out about riding. Like, it was like, okay, now I get a break. And I think once the season started, I had a couple bad races and got to the point where I hurt my wrist at Detroit Supercross, like pretty bad. I thought I broke it, but nothing showed up. I just sprained it really bad, and I didn't have much movement in it, and it was just very painful. But I couldn't ride during the week because of that, and then it was going racing with it, and you're just taping it up and getting shots of Toradol to just kind of numb the pain a little bit, and then you're just kind of racing on the weekends. You're not even able to put any time in during the week. So like 15 Supercross, I showed speed, but like looking back on results, it was horrible. If like people looking at results now will probably think like what the heck, why did they even give this kid a shot, really, you know? So yeah, it's just a learning year for sure.
Robbie and Ryan Holiday were like, let's go race the last outdoor, and kind of just see how you do. And showed up there and was just completely not prepared for what I was about to do. And that was tough for me. It was cool because I was like, I'm finally gonna get to race an outdoor, I'm a professional now. And showed up, and I was like a lost dog, I just had no idea what was going on. I was not ready for what I was about to do. But I tried to do what I could, and first race took off, crashed first lap right off the rip. I think I'm just so nervous, or whatever, crash, get back up, crash again, ended up kind of re-aggravating like a small little injury, and it still wasn't a big deal, but we ended up not racing the second moto. Drove all the way to California just to turn around and drive right back home. So after that, I was like, dude, I have no idea what I'm gonna do. Like, I tried to race as a pro. It went like horribly wrong, so I have no idea what my plans are gonna be. And then after that, it was kind of like, maybe I should go to college, or I had no idea what to do, not even the slightest bit. So that was a rough little period for me, just because I was lost in what I wanted to do. That was my dream to do it, and I failed miserably, it seemed like. So I was definitely a little lost after that one. Not that my mom ever pushed me to try to go to school or anything, because she always left what I wanted to do up to me. Same with my dad. But she was like, we can look into schools or whatever, and that was something I was online looking into schools and stuff, you know, trying to get like a scholarship to go somewhere, or just whatever I had to do to maybe go to college and do it and pursue that, I guess. But, you know, my dad was like, you're not going to go to college. You're a dirt bike racer. It's what you do. And I'm like, well, I tried. I suck. You know? I tried to do it, and I just failed miserably. It was horrible. A deal, kinda. I was talking to Geico Honda at the time. They didn't know what they were going to do. They didn't know that Justin was going to ride for them in the 450. So they called me and they were like, "Yeah, we're looking for another guy. You know, we're very interested in doing something with you." And we talked like that for almost like a few months. And so I was really pumped. You know, I was like, "They're considering me. That's awesome." You know, they were like, "Well, pretty much it's between you and Jimmy Nichols." I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." You know, it's two people, you know, I got a 50-50 shot to do this. I kept trying to talk to those guys, but at the same time, I was still working on a few other deals because I know how the sport is. You know, it's until you're like really signed, sealed, and delivered, nothing is done. So I tried to pursue some other stuff and had a few things in the works as a backup plan, kind of. You know, I caught some news that Jimmy had signed with Geico. I was like, oh, okay, no big deal, you know. I was just pumped to be considered. So I was like, no big deal, you know, I'll go pursue the backup plan. And that fell through kind of last minute. I mean, I'd got to a point where, you know, I'm looking at budget stuff, how much money's going where, I'm talking to sponsors about this stuff, and, you know, things just didn't work out. And it was no one's fault, it was just, it's a hard deal to do, you know. I'm back in the position I was in 2013. You know, I'm like, do I go? I mean, I don't even know what to do. Jimmy Dakotas was actually first on Cycle Trader's list to get signed. And once he went to Geico, they were like, okay, we're looking for another guy. And Christina called me kind of out of the blue one day and was like, hey, would you consider riding for us? And if I couldn't do the Geico deal, I wanted to do the Cycle Trader deal. It just felt like it was the best thing for me. They had really, really good bikes. A really, really big deal as to why I wanted to do it. I knew I was going to have good equipment. And that was huge because, not that I ever felt like I really lacked equipment, but I mean, it was hard for us, you know, with the team I was on in 2015. We were under budget. You know, we couldn't afford to do a lot of things we wanted to do. And that's just the way it works, you know, with a startup kind of team. No matter who you are, it's just the way it is. So they had really good bikes. Christina was super nice. She seemed like she was on top of everything. She was a very, very good team manager, if you will. And once I talked to her the first time on the phone, I knew that's what I wanted to do. And luckily, they called me back and were like, hey, we'd like for you to ride for the team. And that was all she wrote after that. But I want to be a champion in the 250 class, and I want to be a champion in the 450 class. You know, there's a lot of guys that win 250 championships and then never win a 450 race ever. 450 class is hard. You know, it's very tough. It's a lot of bike to handle. There's so many fast guys. It's the pinnacle of our sport. So for me to be able to win a championship in the 450 class would be the ultimate dream. You know, it's everyone's dream. That's what everybody wants to do. Like I said, it's a process. It takes a lot of time, but you got to start somewhere. You know, and for me, maybe started a little differently than your previous 450 champions, for sure. But I think that's what makes it even sweeter, you know, the story behind it. So that's the ultimate goal, for sure. I want to be a champion in both classes in the sport. I want to do well in supercross and motocross. I don't want to be a one-dimensional guy. But, you know, a lot of people ask, you know, what do you want out of the sport, or what do you want by the time it's all said and done? You know, is it a house, a car, you know, is it all of the stuff, money? But dude, I want to leave satisfied knowing that I left everything out there. I did everything I could. You know, I worked my ass off. I took the right chances, played it safe when we were supposed to. I came out leaving the sport knowing that I did everything I could. And that's really, I think if I can do that, that's accomplishment enough, you know, regardless of what the results say or whether I have a fancy car, a nice house, whatever. You know, if I know that I did everything I could and I left it all out there,
I'm happy with that.
They don't spend millions and millions and millions of dollars for you to go get, 12th, 13th place. Like, there's no two ways about it. If you're not winning, you're not doing good enough. That's how I think they look at it. And I don't know how they look at it, but that's how I'd look at it. If I was spending millions of dollars a year, I'd want someone who's gonna win, Like, I'm not gonna pay that much money or spend that much money for some kid to go out there and get 15th. Like, there's just no two ways about it to me. So, like, that summer, I was just looking at it like, it might not happen this year, but I need another shot. And then I don't know if they were feeling it or not. And I finally just sat down and I said, what's the deal for next year? Do you guys have any spots or like, where do I sit, pretty much? And Supercross was always kind of I don't want to say what I was better at, but what I did better at, like, results-wise. So I think they kind of wanted to see what I could do on a Supercross track too. So it kind of just worked out, like the Supercross only deal. It's not what I wanted, but it's what I had, and I had to go with it because there was no other option. It was either that or back to my van and figuring it out on my own again. So yeah, like, I never got that sit down. It was just what I was feeling from myself and the vibe from the team. Like, I wasn't doing good enough, and I knew it. So I think that's where that drive came in this year to go out there and prove to a lot of people that I can do this and that I want this. Yeah, I don't look at this as a job, really. I look at this as, like, really just a sport that I want to be the best at, really. It's with anything. I'm gonna give everything I got, and I'm gonna do everything I can to try and beat you. And that's how I look at motocross. Like, I'm not trying to get rich off this. This is just what I want to do. I want to hold that #1 plate. And obviously if you're holding the #1 plate, you're making money, but that's not how I look at it. I look at it like I get to go in the record books as a champion, and I want to be able to tell my kids that and my grandkids that, and just, I want my parents to, like, know that they didn't waste their time and waste their money with this. This is something that I want and they want for me. So I'm not gonna waste their time. I'm not gonna waste their money. I'm not gonna waste their investment in me on just goofing off and not giving it everything I've got. So, like I said, I'm a firm believer that, you can do anything you set your mind to, and my mind's set on becoming a champion, whether that's Supercross or motocross. I don't care. I just want to be a champion, and I'm gonna do whatever it takes. Like, tell me what to do and I'll do it. My dad was always like growing up, he was always, I'd always get yelled at because I wouldn't do what he told me to, and he was always like, do what I say, not as I do sometimes, like that side of it. And I was just like, yeah, whatever, like, do my own thing. I don't want to do that, so I'm not going to do it. But now, like, looking at it, like, all these people around me, they want to see me win. And, like, knowing that is, like, real comforting. So for me, when they say to do something, it's like, okay, no questions asked, like, let's do it. Like, if I ask a question, like, they tell me to jump, the only thing I'm going to say is how high. Like, let's just get it done. And whatever it takes, like, that's how I look at it. I want to be a champion. I can't say that enough, and I'm not going to stop until until I get to where I want to be.
And I remember Dave, the new manager at Kawasaki, was clapping for me, like literally like over the fence, like being like, go, go, like, and I was like, that's sick, he's clapping for me, like I'm doing good. And when I like slowed down to take the second, literally he turned his back. And I, like when I came by, I remember like double taking, like, wait, like, damn, like, wow. And so I was like, am I like losing my ride? Like I'm still in second at Whitney, like it's a national, right? Isn't that good?
I remember looking back on that year and we spent 110 grand 1 year to go race dirt bikes as a privateer. And fortunately enough, it got me my ride for the next year, which was on Geico as a fill-in, and that too was no money, no salary.
The first day I went to public school there, the teacher told me that I was in a gang and I had to go to the office and take off my like shirt I was wearing because it was like too baggy or something weird. And like basically just straight like racist kind of stuff, like a little like 14-year-old kid, like how am I like a gang member?
I remember one moto, some dude on a TM passes me in a Boner Air, and I'm like, what is going on right now? And
I don't know if it was just me or what, but it seemed like it got maybe 15 degrees hotter in here.
That was probably the light. And then it's bouncing
It
off
could have
that.
been that. I was just like, forehead is sweating. It was getting out of control.
I don't get this much. Like I don't get the interviews much.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm excited because I want people to see like my side of it.
Yeah.
You know, like I just feel like a lot of people like kind of write me off almost, like going into every year, like, yeah, he'll be okay, like kind of thing. I don't know. It's just weird. Because I don't feel like I've ever been like flashy or like super fast to people.
Yeah.
So